Greetings. I am Henri Murray, a third year business administration student from Orlando, Florida. And today's topic is ethics in the global business world. And the article that I chose for this topic was one of MSNBC, and it was published by Dan Murphy, and it was titled Business Leaders Call for an Urgent Reform as Global Economy Faces Its Worst State in a Century. And I'm sure everyone knows about COVID by now and how much it's impacted the world, and it's actually impacted our global economy for the worst. Our global economy is in the worst state it's been in over 100 years, and global economic leaders are trying to figure out a recovery plan and how they're going to basically bounce back as a world, honestly, from this pandemic. So my article talked about a guy by the name of Yusuf Al-Benyan, and he was the leader of the B20. Well, he is the chairman or the leader of the B20, which is basically the Business 20 is a group full of like 20 high-level CEOs who are basically, they are the voice of the global business like community. So they're basically the voice. So his say-so matters, basically. So this article was all about him and what different plans he had in place for the G20 and their virtual convention on October 26th and 27th. And basically he has plans in place that he is ready to show for the recovery process of us getting back from the pandemic and how we can bounce back economically and become a stable global economic world again. Yusuf Al-Benyan, basically in his plans and recommendations, he put the people first, which honestly shocked me because someone of that status had thought about the smaller people in a situation like this, which it really shocked me, honestly. And basically his first point of view to the G20 was empowering the people to build a stronger basis. And in this recommendation, he states that under the area of empowering people, the B20 made 10 recommendations that aim at accelerating efforts to empower women and youth and to build workforces resilient to technological and health and economic risk. It is also called for a scaling up of financing and of sustainable development and economic diversification, including in job creating sectors such as sustainable tourism. So basically, in empowering people, he's basically trying to get everyone on board to understand that not everything is going to be the same as it used to be post-COVID, post-pandemic. So basically, people have to change up their mindsets about how they're not only spending their money or making decisions, but nothing's going to be the same after this post-pandemic. And Yusuf states that in one of his recommendations of empowering the people. He's giving people power to make the decisions, make the smarter decisions, because not everything is going to be the same once we go back to being normal after this pandemic. Another point that Yusuf made was safeguarding the planet as his second point of view. And the B20 basically made 3 recommendations to foster growth within the limits of the planet. Specifically, it recommended to the G20 leaders that committing to carbon neutrality in the second half of the century, preferably by 2050, and accelerate the implementation of policies toward the goal. They basically believe that our planet is under great pressure of sustainability, and we need to come to a realization that we need to act now in order to preserve our planet. And this makes, by him thinking of certain things like this during a time with COVID, because COVID impacted the whole world. It didn't just impact one section of the world, it impacted the whole world. So just the thought process that and the behavior of the decision making for him to input this into his article just shows me that he's looking for the best, most beneficial outcome for not only the people, but also the globe as an environment. Lastly, Yusuf talks about shaping new frontiers. And under the Shaping New Frontiers recommendation, he basically is talking about our newer technology, how it can help us in this pandemic, and how we need to spread it in order to become globally, like economically stable again, because not every country has the luxury of Americans where we can use these newer technologies to help advance this or speed up the process to getting past this pandemic, because there are still third world countries out there. And Yusuf basically is saying that we need to come together as one and help out the third world countries to basically our global economy can become stable again. By doing that, because it's not being selfish or anything. He doesn't want us to be selfish, and that goes back to ethics in his global business world, because just by that thought process of not being selfish as a country to helping out another country, that's just bringing positivity to the situation and trying to be the most beneficial to the whole situation as a whole. So I believe Yusuf and his different basically principles that he's giving out to the G20 in this article will help us post-pandemic, because it could boost long-term growth and it could provide sustainability for multiple countries across the board who are all in a flux because of the COVID pandemic. You never know how it will impact or affect each economy differently, and that in whole affecting the global economy itself. Lastly, basically the plans that Yusuf put into place for the G20 will be proposed to the G20 on October 26th and 27th of this year. So it's in the next month or so. So this article is fairly new. But basically what I've learned from this article is that I've noticed the different angles and inputs of what goes into the decision making and all the ethics as well of the decision making, because not only does the B20 make the decision making, but they have to come to some sort of common ground to put these like proposals into place, basically. And I learned that in this article. And it's a very important article because it affects us as well. It's a global economy, so it affects everyone. So this was just a very interesting article. And again, I am Honoric Murray, and thank you.